So this is not a dealership. This is not a Jeep event. This is definitely not normal. You're looking at hundreds of Jeeps 4xe just sitting there near Phoenix, Arizona. No prices, no people. And today we're going to be covering 3 different theories as to what I think might be going on. Now, if you're new here, welcome to Trail Ready Garage, where we're going to be talking about Jeeps, 4xEs, and every now and then we're going to be talking about some Jeep conspiracy theories. So these are Jeep 4xe models, both Wranglers and Cherokees. And what seems so unusual to me is the fact that they're just sitting there, right? There is some speculation that this could be Carvana's inventory. They are based in Tempe, Arizona, which is where this is located. So that could be the case, but we don't really know. Looking at some of these vehicles, you could see that the Jeeps are coming from all over the country. So you have plates from Colorado, Florida, Washington, California, Missouri, and many more. Now, I did notice some of the markings on the vehicle say MMR do not inventory. Now, if you know what that means, be sure to comment below. Now, it could very well be, that it stands for a manufacturer recall, do not inventory. It could also be that it stands for the Manheim Market Report, do not inventory. So the Manheim Market Report pretty much helps dealers get a sense of the market value of a car based on recent sales or comparable sales in their market. So it would make sense that they are doing something like this. So now this is going to bring us now to our 3 theories. So theory number 1 could be that this is simply centralized inventory. And it would make a lot of sense, right? So a massive dealer, let's say somebody like Carvana, already had some of these vehicles scattered all over the country. You have the recall. Now you have Jeep retiring the 4xe. So maybe they want to bring them all to one location and kind of hold on to them for now. They're seeing, obviously, a lot of folks are really kind of aching to get out of their leases. I've seen in a lot of forums, folks literally just dumping their 4xEs, even if it's at a loss. So it could very well be that the value of these vehicles is being temporarily affected. And some dealer is just saying, hey, I'm going to wait it out. I'm going to see if the market eventually is going to go back up. And I don't want these scattered all over the country, so let's go ahead and move them to a place that's a little bit safe from the weather, such as Phoenix, Arizona. So, that could very well be the case. Theory number 2 could be that somebody is buying low, right? So again, you have a lot of folks right now getting out of their 4xEs, and again, we're seeing this all over the forums, and so you could get very aggressive and say, I'm going to try to snatch all of them at a very low price and then be able to sell them for a potential profit. So that could very well be the case. Somebody right now could be buying below market price. And you can see that actually when you go to websites such as cars.com or others, where you can see that a lot of the Jeeps, the 4xEs that are listed there, are listed below the market price. So it makes sense that somebody could sweep in and try to grab a lot of these at a very low cost, hold on to them for a little while, kind of get the news out of the way, and then start selling them little by little. So, it could very well happen. So that brings us to theory number 3. So this could simply be a recall holding area. Now, obviously, this is not going to be as exciting as theory number 1 or number 2, but I did notice in the video, you will see that some of these Jeeps have group labels, such as Group E, Group D, and other ones will have Group 12, different numbers. So it could very well be that they are being repaired in batches, right? And so this could very simply be a national dealer getting them all to a central location so they could be batched, serviced and repaired if needed. It would make a lot of sense, again, bringing them to a place such as Phoenix, Arizona, where there's, dry climate, there's no rust. So dealers do this all the time. Even the Air Force sometimes will actually park their planes in Arizona because of the weather. So it could very well be that they are doing that. They could have them there, fix them, and then once they're, if you think of somebody like Carvana, where they're actually chipping the cars once they're sold, because they're an online retailer. So it would make sense that they would do something like this. And then once the car is sold, they ship it out to the person who bought the car. So it could very well be. I did see some folks speculating that the cars were being parked one space apart, and that whether or not this could be because of the recall. I don't think this is necessarily the case. Now, it could be, but I think honestly it's more related to trying to prevent damage, right? From opening the doors and one car hitting the other, especially as moving, you have to move hundreds and hundreds of cars in and out of this place. If you have them all right next to each other, you know that somebody's going to, at some point, is going to be rushing, and they're going to damage the car right next to them. And now you have two cars, they have new damage. I actually did notice some of the cars had markings that, it seems like some damage had occurred while they were parked there. So I think it is more likely that they were parked apart to prevent damage from opening doors and things like that. So if you actually take a look, you can also see that the cars are still fairly close together, and when there is a car fire, that the heat actually radiates quite a bit. So they are too close, in my point of view, for them to prevent any kind of transmission of fire. So I don't think that's the case. Again, I think really it is based to prevent them from damage, cosmetic damage, pretty much is what they're trying to minimize. Now we go on to, I guess, the part that kind of really affects some of us 4xe owners, which is when you have a lot of inventory, when you have these many Jeeps sitting in there, obviously that tells you that the market is stressed, right? And whether you love your 4xe or you hate it, we know that this kind of inventory buildup is going to have an impact on the market, or it could very well do. So if you're centralizing a lot of your inventory, you're obviously taking a lot of supply out of the market. And if there's still demand, you're going to hopefully be able to manage a little bit of the prices. Obviously, if you were to flood all of these cars back into the market, you're going to see prices go down even further. So again, it could be a strategy, a pricing strategy, right? Hold on to them for a little bit, sell them. One sells, you list a new one in there so that you're not really flooding the market with these cars, and you can kind of manage the price just a little bit. So, if you have a 4xe right now it is very likely that the value of the vehicle went down, even if it's temporary. So if you're selling one, you're probably going to get less right now than you would if you were to hold off for a little while. Who knows? Obviously, the markets can shift in different directions, and I can't tell you which way to go. So that could very well happen. If you're buying one, you might be in a pretty good position, because some of the dealers are really trying to get rid of these cars. And if there's not a lot of buyers, you might get a pretty good deal on that 4xe. So you could try to leverage this to your advantage as well. I did hear that the 4xe's, Wranglers, and the Cherokees, I believe, are still going to be sold in Germany and some other countries for at least one more year. So we know for one more year, hopefully there'll be parts. And that's something that it is a little bit of concern. What's going to happen to the parts, right? So, that's something that we're going to have to start thinking about here in the near future as we try to decide what to do with our cars. That brings us to the conclusion of our video. But let me know what you think this is. You think this is a centralized inventory? Are they just bringing them all to one place to, take care of that recall? Or do you think this could be a very smart strategy to try to manipulate prices a little bit? So drop your theory in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think. And if you want me to keep digging into some of these Jeep conspiracies, let me know as well. So again, if you like the video, like and subscribe, and I'll see you back at the garage.